Hi everyone, and welcome to our first video for the SAP Datasphere updates. So now we are in the fourth quarter of 2023. Of course, SAP Datasphere is with a bi-weekly update schedule, but because we do not want to overload you with a lot of videos every 2 weeks, we have made a summary from the start of August until the end of October. First of all, who am I? My name is Cas Kriel, and I'm a SAP Analytics expert at Flexo. And this is an overview of the aspects that we want to cover today. So we have our general enhancements, the administration and service management, the BW bridge enhancements, data integration, modeling, and preparation. Within the general enhancements, we have a new homepage. So the new homepage has got a freshly new UI. This is with an auto refresh button, so the end user, can refresh his data automatically now. We have a customizable button, so here the user can drag and drop the objects within the homepage according to his own preferences. We have a data integration overview containing all our data flows, our view persistency, our replication flows, etc. We have a data builder overview. This is containing all the views, tables, and other objects within the data builder. Our business builder overview, a quick actions tab. This is also customizable by the user. And an SAP Datasphere blog post overview. So these are the blogs that are appearing onto the community from SAP. Next up, we have our scoped roles. So according to me, this is the main enhancement that SAP has provided in this quarterly release. The scoped roles covers two aspects. So first of all, we have the automatic conversion. And after that, we have the implementation of new users and new roles within a space or covering multiple spaces. Before, a user was assigned to a role, and then he had that role for all the spaces which he was a member of. So we had the same role in all spaces. But now with the scoped roles, we can assign roles to spaces, multiple spaces, and we can assign multiple users to those roles. So this is meaning that we have different roles in different spaces, one scoped role for many users in many spaces, and this will be the responsibility of a space administrator. What is a space administrator? So not all privileges will be converted with this automatic rollout. So for example, we have the system owner, the administrator, the catalog administrator, and the catalog user. These will just remain as they were because these are all general roles and they cover, for example, platform adjustments. But the space administrator will now be there. So the space administrator is actually just acting as an administrator, but only for one space. So he cannot, for example, assign himself to other spaces, which was the case until now. This automatic rollout also comes with a couple naming conventions. So they added the word scoped onto all the converted roles. So for example, a data warehouse modeler will become a scoped modeler. And for custom roles, they added _SAP_scope. After the automatic conversion, of course, you want to add users or scoped roles into our system. This is actually covering two steps. So first of all, you assign a space to a scoped role. Then you can assign users to that role. And now you have three main objects that the combination of those three objects will enable you to grant authorizations to users. So these three objects are now the user, the scoped role, and the space. but before this was just a user and a role, and that role was used for all spaces that he was a member for. SAP also enabled the SAML scripting and the SCIM availability. There are a couple approaches for the implementation of these scoped roles. So first of all, we have the centralized approach. This is meaning that all the users of a scoped role will have access to all the spaces that are mapped to that role. So you do not have to assign a user to that role, to that space, and that space. You can now assign him or her to one role. This is an easy onboarding for new users and new spaces. You can also choose to do the decentralized approach, and this is just a direct assignment of users to a space with their specified scopes. You can also do a combination of the two, but just keep in mind that you have to create a set of roles for each approach. So one role can be used for either centralized or decentralized approach. So a quick summary for the scoped roles. They're automatically rolled out by SAP. So normally for the Northern America part and the Europe region, this was done on the end of October. You have to keep in mind that the mappings of the roles are different now. The user assignment will be different, and the naming convention. The scoped roles introduction provides more flexibility and a granular authorization management. And you can either choose the centralized, decentralized, or hybrid approach for the implementation. Next up, we have BW Bridge. In BW Bridge, you have the anonymization feature, so the propagation of updates for your anonymized data. You can do anonymization of data in your data mart. We have a new formula editor, and we have a new function for the simulation of our anonymization. Please keep in mind that once you enable your anonymization, this cannot be undone. Next, we have our transformation flows. So the transformation flows is mainly to capture deltas within Datasphere. So this is very likely to the data flows as they are existing today in SAP Datasphere. So you have the options to run them or to schedule them, to load initial or delta, but they're mainly introduced to do delta capturing. So it consists of two tables. So you have your source local table, and that local table is containing a delta table. So once flagging the delta capture button on, this will introduce two fields into your local table. So it will add the change type and the change date, so it can capture the data, the deltas. But this data type, the data types and the default values cannot be altered for these fields, and they cannot be used as a key. Also keep in mind that you cannot switch it off once the table is deployed into the SAP Datasphere system. But for now, you're only able to use it on top of local tables. You cannot do it on top of existing tables. So if you want to recreate your flows as they are existing today, you will probably have to add new local tables. And because it's only you're only able to use it on top of local tables, it's not possible to push through the delta mechanism coming from the source system. So for example, from BW or S4HANA, without the use of replication flows. So you first have to replicate all the data into SAP Datasphere, but you can use it as a delta within Datasphere. So for example, if you have a local table with more than 1 million records, you can choose with this transformation flow to do calculations only for the new records. Next up, we have the modeling functionalities. So an administrator has the options to create packages. So within a package, he can store multiple objects that are related. Before you had to select them one by one, or all the dependencies from one object, but now you can create your own packages, which enables you to create versions, and this will also make the transporting process a lot more transparent. You have the options to create, export, or update these packages. A small enhancement, but it will come in very handy for a lot of developers. You're now able to save your SQL views even though errors are still appearing. So before you could not save these, you had to either fix your problem or you had to delete your modifications before saving. But now you can choose save anyway. Just keep in mind that there are views maybe in your Datasphere system that still contain errors. The partitioning of tables, so you can break down your data into smaller tables. Of course, for tables with a large volume, this will come in very handy. This partitioning is mainly based on top of one column that you choose. You have to keep in mind that there is a restriction based on top of the data type of your column. So you have to look into this before defining this. We're also able to add hierarchies with a directory. So this is commonly imported from an S4HANA system or BW system. But before, you maybe had to flatten a whole hierarchy coming from S4HANA. You had to flatten it into a local table in Datasphere. And that way you could map it into an analytical model to later on report on. But now you can just import your hierarchy from the source system. So this is also very recognizable for end users maybe that are also using the S4HANA or BW system. For default input parameters, you were already able before to add default values, but now you can also do this while defining the parameter, previewing, or consuming an object using these parameters. And this is done while modeling and previewing an analytical model. And then lastly, we have the data preparation. So for the intelligent lookup, you're now able to set rules for filtering of an input and or lookup records. I think that was it for this release of the fourth quarter. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. And otherwise, I hope to see you on the next video for the first quarter of 2024. Bye.